I want to touch on something that Kai had referenced as well, which is, and actually, Brian Brooks, who now is the head of the OCC, talks about, the dollar needs to remain competitive. That there's a competitive economy for fiat currencies, and there's obviously the monetary policy is part of the product, and the sovereign credit and all of that good stuff. But then there's the utility value. Like, how do you build better features? How does the dollar become a more feature-rich currency? And now we're moving into a world where there's actually competition on the utility value of fiat currency when you are now moving to this realm of digital currency. And so you can design features, which is very, cash, what's the security technology or the anti-counterfeiting technology might have been features of a physical note, but now there's like real utility. And this touches on something again that Kai, you brought up, which is the amount of developer innovation that's happening with programmability, that's happening that, this in some ways, and this is, part of our view and vision, which is payments just becomes a ubiquitous free service on the internet. There's actually, it becomes this much broader thing, and that this isn't just about payment system. This is about a bigger set of innovation, which is sort of in the economic contracting layer, that now businesses can construct and program economic contracts in really, really profound ways. And that's like the ultimate utility value that exists here. And I'm curious to hear, each of you reflect a little bit on that layer of all of this, whether it be on what's happening in the private sector today or what might be possible in public sector related CBDC initiatives. Maybe I'll start with you, Kai.
Yeah, so I'll start. So I think there used to be a clear line between software companies that would provide software as a service solutions for businesses to help them do things like manage expenses and simplify accounting, and then you had financial institutions that would help businesses send and receive payments. We're now seeing a trend where software companies are embedding payments into thetheir workflows to be able to add additional value for their customers. So just a quick example, if you're at a large company and you want to spend $100,000 in AWS, you might fill out a purchase order on a Word doc, email it off for approval, have it land in the accounting department, and then they use their financial institution to make a wire. This is now being replaced by software. There are companies where you submit a request, it's approved, and it automatically initiates payments. And so this design space of how can you program payments as a feature within software platforms is really expanding. And many companies are using Visa products to do that today. And we're excited to see if smart contracts and digital currencies can further accelerate that trend.
Mm-hmm. Bob,
Yeah, I'll go ahead. I think, going into the question of programmability, I think this kind of goes back into that multiple layer system that you discussed earlier, whereby when we talk about our general purpose research, we're really focusing on, as Neha said earlier, security, right? Security has to be the ultimate issue there. And when you add programmability, certainly you expand the attack surface of that software or the digital currency software. And that's something we think about deeply. There is a world in which, the underlying prototype could be extremely secure, but have very limited programmability. But those private sector partners or commercial banking partners, they may be able to add that programmability. And I think they already are. So banks are having open APIs now. Certainly the FedNow program, which is 24/7 real-time gross settlement, that enables banks to work a lot faster with their payment sector partners. But on our research, which is the core general purpose CBDC, security is really the ultimate factor we think about. And so programmability is a nice to have, but any threat to security, it really is subject to strict scrutiny on our end.
Neha?
Yeah, echoing that. I mean, I really think there are different stages to technology, right? And it's a big question. What stage are we in right now with the cryptocurrency world and cryptocurrency technology? When I think about having a really robust platform, I think about a layered approach. So I think about the internet stack. I think about those protocols, how the bottom layers were not dependent on the top layers. It wasn't all squashed into one virtual machine. There was really nice, clean separation.
Yeah.
And as we are, doing our research and looking into what we can do with programmability, we found that with a pretty small number of core features, you can get a lot out of them, right? If you use the right signature scheme, if you have time locks, things like that, you can really get a lot out of the upper layers. Now, this is a pretty difficult paradigm to program and experiment with, is the problem, right? The paradigm that's easiest to sort of experiment with and try lots of things is one where you basically can write JavaScript. You can have thousands of developers who are writing all of these easy to write contracts, and that's where experimentation can happen. But I really think, and I might be wrong, but I really think we're going to have to translate what works in that area into a more robust architecture. That's what I suspect we'll need to do.
Makes sense. I think we think about that layering as well, and we in some ways look at USDC as a protocol, and it needs to be independent actually of blockchains. It can't be tied to a specific blockchain, and there's so much innovation happening in different fundamental architectures for this, and so that's something that we'll be rolling out a lot more of, is sort of how do you use this as a protocol on very different types of blockchains that support different use cases and the like.